Ever since Ukraine recaptured the city of Kherson late last year, the war with Russia has been at a stalemate. Despite heavy fighting, the front line has barely shifted all winter, but the arrival of spring could dramatically change things. That's because Russia and Ukraine are both training new armies for spring offensives, which Zelensky and Putin hope will shift the tide of the war in their favor. The stakes could hardly be higher. If Ukraine prevails, then Putin will be staring down the barrel of total defeat and end to his rule, and possibly even the end of his life. But if Russia can break Ukraine's defenses and Western resolve, then the country's survival will once again be on the line. Here, we examine what forces both sides have at their disposal, when and where they could strike, and what that could mean for the outcome of the war. Last year, Putin mobilized 300,000 men from his military reserves into the army. Around half are thought to have been sent to Ukraine. Many have already returned home in coffins. But the remaining 150,000 are thought to be somewhere deep inside Russia, training to become a new invasion force roughly the same size as the army Putin started the war with. But unlike Russia's professional army at the start of the war, these conscripts are unlikely to make the best soldiers. They will also lack equipment, since much of Russia's armor and artillery has already been destroyed on the battlefield. Ukraine, meanwhile, is also training new recruits that will be tasked with holding back the Russian tide, then counter-punching when the time is right. Exactly how many men Kiev has at its disposal is unclear, but having declared a full mobilization at the start of the war, it could easily match or exceed the size of the Russian force. Training is taking place at bases across Europe, but primarily in Germany and the UK. And unlike Russia's men, who will largely be armed with Soviet-era relics, Ukraine's troops are set to receive state-of-the-art Western weapons. Leopard, Abrams and Challenger tanks have all been promised in recent days, along with dozens of armoured vehicles, troop transports, artillery systems and other weapons. And yet more arms could be coming, with Ukraine now asking for fast attack jets and long-range missiles. The biggest challenges facing Russia's commanders will be moulding their drunken, disorderly and dishevelled recruits into a fighting force capable of taking on the Ukrainians. Morale is bound to be low. Training will be poor since most of Russia's junior officers have been killed, and these soldiers are unlikely to be capable of advanced maneuvers. This means they face being thrown head-on at Ukrainian lines as cannon fodder. But there is strength in numbers, and rumours have been circulating that Putin could soon mobilise another 500,000 men to join them. That will make a difference to any battle, no matter how badly trained or equipped those troops are, as Russia has proved plenty of times in the past. For Ukraine, the biggest challenge will be learning how to use all of their new gear in time for the Russian assault. Kiev's commanders face the daunting task of making dozens of pieces of kit which weren't designed to work together do exactly that. Meanwhile, engineers will have to learn how to fix everything that could go wrong, and quartermasters will have to ensure that there are enough spare parts to go around. The key question facing commanders on both sides is now when and where to strike. As Russia proved with its initial invasion, a larger and better equipped army can easily face catastrophic defeat if they are following the wrong battle plan. Ukraine's top commander believes Russia will make another attempt to capture the capital, Kiev, using troops stationed in Belarus. Experts at the Institute for the Study of War disagree and believe Russia will try to finally capture the Donbass. For Kiev, a lot will depend on how the battlefield looks after Russia's attack is over. While Ukraine's generals could launch a surprise offensive before Putin's men get their act together, that risks backfiring and leaving their defences stretched too thin. Many, including Russian war propagandists, expect the attack to take place in the south, towards the city of Mariupol. Ukraine could also commit extra troops in the north, where their troops have been slowly advancing on the towns of Lysychansk and Severodonetsk throughout the winter. Russia will be desperately hoping for any kind of victory, but no doubt capturing the whole of Donetsk, one of the 4 Ukrainian regions that Putin now claims for Russia, will be the ultimate prize. Doing so would allow Putin to claim victory, even if only to his own people, and apply pressure on Ukraine to sit down for peace talks that would ultimately benefit him. Ukraine may also face pressure to do so from its Western allies, should all of their expensive equipment fail to repel the Russian assault. If Putin generals try another audacious attack on Kiev, then Ukraine's survival as a country will once again be under threat. For Ukraine, a successful spring offensive would put total victory within their grasp. Retaking Mariupol and the surrounding areas would push Russia almost back to where it was at the start of the war, split its forces in two, and put Crimea in the firing line. Putin would then face the choice of accepting a humiliating peace deal that favoured Ukraine, or else fighting on at the risk of losing everything, perhaps even his life. It is hardly an exaggeration to say that the fate of both Russia and Ukraine rests on what happens when spring arrives. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit like and subscribe.